The 26th day of March 2025. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to KBC Lunchtime News. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Remember, today is the final day for the interview position for the chairperson of the electoral body, and my colleague Abdiaziz Hashim has lined up a story right here for you in regards to the same. And later on this broadcast, we'll be speaking to Engineer Benjamin Ochele, who is the coordination manager at Water Expert Davis and Shatcliffe. We'll be talking about water management and, of course, water harvesting as well. That discussion a bit later. Many thanks. My co-anchor on the sign language interpretation is Lucy Mwaura. I'm Njue. Straight to the news. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC selection panel, will conclude its interviews for the chairperson position this afternoon. Lillian Wanjiko, a lawyer, was first to be interviewed before the panel Wednesday morning and says that if appointed to lead the poll body, she will institute penalties against commissioners who dissent and abandon their post, as has been witnessed in the past. Wanjiko proposed that each commissioner should be required to sign an agreement ensuring that they conduct their roles before, during, and after the polls as mandated by the IEBC Act. Wanjiko was also put to task to explain a case where she was involved in after she allegedly issued a bouncing check to Kimunge Limited. The panel also engaged Robert Akumu Assemble for the position of chair at the Anniversary Towers right here in Nairobi.
One of the biggest challenges we have is that commissioners run away from Kenyans at their time of need. That is what we have been experiencing as the people of Kenya. So that is likely to be a challenge even in the next general election. So as a legal practitioner, I would ensure that there are legal provisions or the law is amended to ensure that there are very stringent penalties for any commissioners who has gone through this interview process, being appointed, and then decides, I'm going to take my salary up to 2026 or just before the results are read, then I'm running away. So I would ensure that we have a law where if a commissioner does not agree with the process, there's a process through which they can seek to leave by ensuring that they write down why they're in disagreement, just like the Supreme Court does.
The position you are seeking is the position of a chair. And as I'll quote what Adams law kept saying, you're supposed to be as mweupe kama pamba. Have you ever been convicted?
I faced a criminal charge, but I am exploring the relevant legally available avenues, especially of appeal, and the matter I think should be sub judice. We had a court session on Monday. It's coming up again, so I believe we should leave it as sub judice, so it's not true.
We are not discussing the merit of the matter. The question was a yes or no.
And I've answered that it's subject to appeal, Chair.
So have you been convicted or not convicted on a criminal matter?
It is challengeable, Chair. The conviction is challengeable because it's on appeal, and I don't know how it will come out.
So you have been convicted?
I wouldn't say so.
Honorable Ferdinand Waititu is convicted. True or false?
Yes.
Has he put an appeal?
I have not followed up, but yes. I think he's in jail.
So you have put an appeal?
Yes.
Their letter dated 17th of March this year. I have presented 5 open cases against you for different disciplinary issues as an advocate of the High Court, 2 of which have been settled. Are you aware? Yes or no, Counsel?
I'm not aware.
You've been accused of forging court documents over minor in a children's court matter. Are you aware of that? And what are the circumstances?
I saw that, in fact, the only memorandum that I was forwarded to by the commission, and the person writing is the defendant in the matter. And in the matter, which it is about his children, he's the same man who was attacking me in the court precincts.
And just a quick one, in the afternoon session, that will be broadcasted live right here on KBC Channel 1. Elsewhere, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Institute for Economics and Peace, an international body with expertise in peace and conflict management, to implement transgenerational conversations town hall sessions. The campaign aims to bridge intergenerational divides and empower communities to foster understanding, conflict resolution, and social cohesion in Kenya.
We've been implementing this in the last 3 years, and you all recall during the last financial year finance bill, there were protests from different generations, and NCAC came up with a campaign that we dubbed the Transgenerational Conversations. It is within these transgenerational conversations that we sought partners that we can be able to implement this roadmap also, so that we bring different generations to the table. We provide a platform for discussions.
We are renowned for coming up with a concept called a positive peace framework, that we wish to use that framework to help the NCAC to achieve the objectives of the transgenerational conversations, and also capacity build NCAC staff on the same concept of a positive peace framework that's going to help our country with those town hall meetings, and also make sure that people are peaceful and they use our framework in peace building activities across the country and beyond.
Moving on, civil servants will have to tighten their belts longer, as the government has no intention of reviewing their salaries anytime soon. According to the Public Service Commission PSC's Vice Chairperson Mary Kimonye, the review of salaries was subject to the revenue that was collected in the country. Kimonye further says the financial crisis was global and had affected the country's economy, leading to stagnated salaries. This comes as the Commission identified economic challenges as one of the major causes of the rise in cases of mental health among government workers.
That transformative agenda
is about how can we take advantage of the policies that are there, the legal instruments that are there, to not only to make our workplaces better, but also transform it to build our nation at large.
My encouragement to the entire nation is that we think more about to make the cake bigger and to generate revenue for our country, and then the issue of adding salaries for everybody will not be an issue. Yes. As for now, we need to tighten our belts a bit.
Moving on, a section of Homa Bay County residents has strongly defended Governor Gladys Wanga, dismissing those questioning her leadership and development record. The residents expressed confidence in Wanga's administration, highlighting significant progress under her leadership. The public show of support comes just weeks after Governor Wanga and her Chief of Staff, Charles Odhiambo, were embroiled in a scandal that attracted national attention. Despite the controversy, supporters maintained that Wanga's leadership remained intact, urging critics to focus on the county's development progress rather than personal matters.
these people have been sponsored by an individual, we are telling that individual that party is bigger than you. We want you to respect our party ODM, respect our governor, because not only being a governor, she is also a party leader in the entire country. If you have a personal problem with Her Excellency Gladys Atieno Nyasonawanga, look for Gladys, square with her.
Elsewhere, residents of Baricho in Magarini sub-county today held peaceful demonstrations against alleged corruption by police officers in the area. The residents are calling for the immediate transfer of the officer in charge of the Baricho police post, accusing him of engaging in bribery and obstructing justice. They also claim that police officers at the police post demand bribes from suspects, making it difficult for complainants to get justice. The residents are also calling on the government to take immediate action to restore justice in Baricho.
Ile serikali ikaweze kutuletea maofisa wenye wanaweza kutufanyia kazi kuliko wale wenye ambao wako pale kwa ofisi. Wanatunyanyasa kupitia, kama kumepelekwa cases pale, wanajali sana ile wenye wanaita hongo ama tuseme rushwa.
Mtu akishtakiwa alafu akiitwa pale ofisini anachukuliwa hongo alafu unamwona yuko huru. Sasa hiyo inakuwa tunaweka grudge ambazo si za haki. Maana mimi nikimwona kama amenishtaki alafu ama nimemshtaki alafu nikimwona yuko nje na kesi nilipeleka, mimi tayari itakuwa siko radhi kabisa.
Women empowerment in the automotive sector is gaining momentum. Spiro Kenya has opened an all-female motor assembly plant in a rare move, marking a shift in a traditionally male-dominated industry. This comes as the country continues to embrace green energy solutions.
Inside an assembly plant in Nairobi, women are taking charge. Spiro Kenya has launched what it says is the world's first all-female motor assembly plant, focusing on producing electric bikes. Spiro Kenya says the move is part of a broader strategy to support gender inclusion and sustainable transport.
This is the only plant in the world that the women have been given the forefront in terms of assembling the most important component onto a bike. And it goes to show how important it is. We are paying attention to details.
The company is working with KCB and local circles to provide financing options, aiming to make electric bikes more affordable.
Then secondly is to bring on board all the partners to whom we've already bring onto the country. And these are world-class partners who will bring in not only quality, but will transfer also the knowledge onto the Kenyan space.
According to Spiro Kenya, these bikes align with the country's push for clean energy and reduced carbon emissions. For the women on the assembly line, the initiative offers new career opportunities in a sector where they have historically been underrepresented. The company says that the launch reflects ongoing efforts to increase women's participation in technical fields while contributing to Kenya's renewable energy ambitions.
Switching gears to health, residents of Kericho County are set to benefit from the construction of a non-communicable disease center at the Kericho County Referral Hospital that is set to be completed in 1.5 years. The 358 million shillings facility will consist of a modern oncology center, radiography unit, inpatient wards, isolation cubes, a 7-bed ICU, a modern theater, a burns unit, offices and specialist consultation rooms. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, Kericho Governor Eric Mutai stated that the construction of the new facility, which will feature a 220-bed capacity, will address the long-standing shortages the hospital has faced since its establishment in 1948.
We are launching the ground, an historical ground, for a 358 million 5-story facility which will be sorting out the issues we've been having in our Kericho Referral Hospital. We will have underground base. The underground will handle cancer patients, which includes chemo. It also includes screening, and includes, we look forward that we will equip it with even bangers, because our form on our vision is that in the next 2 years, we will not be sending our patients to India for treatment. We will not be sending our patients to MTRH or Nairobi for treatment. We want our population to be treated within their county.
To the coast now, where Coast Police Commander Ali Nuno has given security forces a week to deal with the gangs of young men harassing residents with machetes. Speaking during a public meeting in Jogoo, Commander Ali warned police officers who fail to act decisively against the gangs would be dismissed from their positions. This directive comes amid mounting tension, with residents calling on a curfew and business operators threatening to shut down in protest against insecurity in the area.
Kama vijana imeshinda nyinyi, then you have no mandate of you being here. Hamna haja. Poor parenting is contributing to this problem. Mheshimiwa sasa alituambia sisi ni Waislamu. Mtoto akifika mwaka 7 muamrishe sala.
Mimi naomba tujukumike kama wazazi, tujukumike kama jamii ya hawa watoto. Na watoto tunaozungumzia si swala la kazi. Na hata wacha nikubali ni swala la kazi. Je, kama una kazi ndio kwa kati mwenzako pata.
Naomba security. Ile kitengo cha polisi sijui bado kiko wala kilienda wapi. Kama kiko, tufanye taratibu ya kutengeza hiyo polisi.
Wacha sheria ichukue mkondo wake, wale waliodhulumiwa wapate haki yao.
And in Nakuru, county government and the National Bar Owners Association have issued a 1-week notice to the prison department to close down a bar that is operating in Naivasha town. They have termed the new establishment a threat to other local bars, as liquor sourced from military barracks was sold at cheaper prices, hence giving them local traders unfair competition. Meanwhile, the local bar owners in the town have vowed that they would cease paying liquor licenses to the county if the facility located along the Nairobi-Nakuru highway was not closed down.
Taka ile bar ifungwe, na si ifungwe peke yake, yule mwanabiashara ambaye anauzwa pale aende aitishwe hizo taxes zote ambazo sisi tunapoteza. Tunaomba serikali ya county ishirikiane na sisi tuende tufunge ile bar, kwa sababu hakuna revenue ambayo wanaleta.
Na wenye tumekaa nao kikao wale wametuambia by Thursday hiyo kitu itakuwa imeshughulikiwa. Hivyo tuambia watu wa kaunti kama itaweza kuwa imeshughulikiwa, license hatutalipa.
Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi has commissioned Kebro making machines at Mogoga Vocational Training Center to boost infrastructure and employment. Speaking at the launch, Wamatangi said the Kebro stones produced will be used to pave roads and pathways within Kabete and its neighboring areas before expanding the project countywide. Youths have been called upon to embrace the initiative as part of the county government's broader plan to enhance the aesthetic and infrastructure of urban centers.
Mkichapa kibarua huko wakati tunatengeneza barabara, kwa vile tunatengeneza mnakuwa mnalipwa wakati hiyo kazi ya kulei hiyo kebro. Nyinyi mtakuwa mnaweka kwa barabara. So mtu akiwa kibarua, na hapo tutakuwa na vijana wengi kwa kazi. Almost I expect kwa hii sub-county ya Kabete tunafaa kukuwa na vijana 200 kila siku wakiwa kazi.
Very many other young people will be employed to lay the cabros in our roads, to beautify our towns, to do the parkings in our towns, and also to improve our road system within the county.
In other news, a group of herbalists under the KBC Herbalist Research Center has petitioned the national government to expedite the passage of a bill currently before Parliament that seeks to recognize them as professionals in alternative medicine. The herbalists are advocating for the opportunity to serve in public hospitals alongside conventional doctors if the bill is enacted. Speaking at a funeral in Gesero, Kisii South, the group's chairman, Peter Njue, emphasized that their work should not be dismissed as sorcery. He argued that the services provided crucial healthcare options for many Kenyans.
Hiyo China ya kuita madaktari wa kienyeji wachawe na waomba watoe hiyo China. Sisi sio wachawe, sisi ni madaktari. Ile mambo ya zamani watu walikuwa wanafanya ambayo ilikuwa inafanya sisi tunasukiwa kuwa wachawe, tulitoa hiyo mambo tukaingia kwa kanisa, ni maombi na kusomea mambo ya miti na kutengeneza miti na kutibu maradhi mbalimbali. Tunaendelea kung'ang'ana tuone kama serikali yetu kuu itatusaidia pili yetu ipite. Ikipita sasa tutaingia kwa hospitali kuanza kutibu.
Hatupeani mti tu ati ni mti tunatoa tunaweka, lakini tunaangalia ni nini iko ndani yake na msaidia na ugonjwa inafanya nini mpaka mgonjwa anapona.
The Kenyan National Union of Teachers West Pokot branch has threatened to call for demonstration in the area if the current County Director of Education, Simon Wamai, is not transferred with immediate effect. The tutors have raised concerns over the lack of funds meant for co-curricular activities and alleged harassment of teachers, led by West Pokot NAT Executive Secretary Martin Zembelo. They called on the Ministry of Education to immediately replace the accused director, failure to which they will mobilize all teachers from the county to demonstrate outside the Ministry of Education county offices.
This is one of the incompetent county directors we have never even seen. We are saying this because the following reasons are his undertakings. He has made up of people who cannot even be corrected in one way or another. Second, he has messed up with curriculum activities. For the last 3 years, West Pokot had a lot of quagmire with him all along. Let the Ministry of Education transfer him as the way we have said here.
Young learners crying, asking us why they have not participated. We lack the answers. As leaders, you become helpless. Up to the third day, when so many officers intervened, that's when we participated. And if you look at it, we'll find that our performance is below average because of the discouragement.
Many of the co-curricular activities may not participate in POMET. The question I'm asking is why and when.
Moving on, one person has been reported dead following clashes at the infamous Mudera farm in Mau, Narok, Nakuru County. Confirming the incident, Njoro Deputy County Commissioner Mokin Tanguni said David Cheruyot, a 43-year-old man, was shot dead after the two families clashed over the ownership of 4,296 acres of land. The two families of the late Mbiu Koinange and the late Kenyenya Mpoe have been fighting over the ownership of the land since the death of the two patriarchs.
Na kama Kenya iko na justice ifanyike. Amenthreaten, amenipiga risasi 3 na mwenye ameuliwa na macho yangu na nina identify, niko na OB number. Najua mwenye ameua David Cheruyot.
Tumekuwa last year mtu mmoja tu alipigwa mshale. Saa hizi mtu amepotesha uhai kwa ajili ya mtu mmoja.
We have each party having young men behind them who purportedly provide security. And we want to treat them and consider them as militia groups. And going forward, we are going to crack a whip on them. Because then this is the outcome. Whatever has happened is a consequence of the activities of the young men who have been engaged to provide security, albeit the fact that it is not their primary responsibility to provide security. It is the government to provide security, to secure every member of the public and their properties.
Projects worth 52 million shillings have been vandalized in Makueni County in the last 2 years. During his development tour in Kiambeke, Kaiti constituency, Governor Mutula Kilonzo Jr. appealed to residents to protect the initiatives in their areas and collaborate with security teams to apprehend those responsible for the destruction. Governor Kilonzo emphasized that he has taken measures to tackle the menace, including a directive to solarize all county projects, install security lights, incorporate CCTV cameras, and replace metallic pipes with plastic ones to deter vandalism.
We can make use of the solar that we have in Makueni since it's a resource, and also it helps in reducing on the operation cost, because when you have solar, it ensures that at least the profits are more.
Tutaweka kamera za CCTV na lights, solar lights. Na tumepatiana directions from the executive kwamba projects zetu zote za maji ziwe na stima ambazo zinawaka na miale ya jua usiku. Na onyo pia tumepatia wananchi onyo kwamba project kama hizi hazifai kuvandaliziwa. So far kufikia sasa, the bill I have in Makueni ya projects ambazo they are vandalized is 52 million.
And at least 1,448 traders in Kitengela Town, Kajiado County, will be resettled next week in a more than 60 million shillings market after 6 years of waiting in a makeshift market. Kajiado County officials, led by Chief Executive Committee member for Trade, Leah Marias, says the original list of genuine traders will be followed in the resettlement without any discrimination. The traders were relocated into the temporary market within the township stadium in 2019 to pave the way for the construction of the modern two-story retail market by the devolved unit.
Tutafanya kitu inaitwa secret ballot na tutawapanga watu wa mboga pande moja, watu wa nguo pande moja. Ndio customers wakikuja, kama ni pande ya chakula wanajua ni laini ya chakula na wanajua hii ni area ya nguo. Mtafanya secret ballot, tutakuwa na representatives ambao tutaweza kufanya nao kazi, ambao tutaweza kujua ya kwamba area hii ya mboga, ukichukua ballot number 24 utaenda pale kwa soko uangalie number 24 ujue hiyo ndio story yako.
Nataka kukueleza ya kwamba hakuna slot ya soko inauzwa. Na kama umenunua, niliambia group ingine pale, basi wewe na mwenye kukuuzia, nyinyi wote ni corrupt. Na mnastahili kushikwa na mfungiwe, kwa sababu kwa nini unauza ama kununua vitu vya serikali? Tutii sheria ili tuweze kukaa pamoja na kupatiana nafasi ya mauzo yetu na kufanya hili jiji economic hub.
Very well, at about 28 minutes past the top of the hour, we are due for a fast break. We still have more news on the other side of this break, and I'll also be joined on the interactive segment by engineer Benjamin Ochele from water expert Davis and Shatleaf, and we'll be talking about water management in Kenya. The rains are here with us.
Where to?
I'm not a child.
Fuatana tu, wakuchukue tena.
Dad, just let a girl breathe.
Yani, hapa kwangu ndio ulikuwa unajigamba kwa simu, you are very busy.
Just greeting Sky. You know that she's an old friend.
Hautampata popote. Ebu, get out of my compound.
When have you been the type to fall back? When your life is on the line, you have to, Mom.
You're now thinking.
Pole nimekaa sana kufikiria. Who abducted my daughter?
What?
You are protecting the abductors. I don't want to start digging covered bruises. Nobody touches my blood.
I knew I married you for a reason.
Tumsikize Sheikh Dhanun ili aweze kutufahamisha kuhusiana na kisa hiki na mengine mengi ambayo yanafungamana na jinsi ya kuchuma mazao ya mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani.
Kwa sababu dini yetu hii ni dini ya kukumbushana. Kwa hiyo tunapokumbushana tuhakikishe tunakumbuka huu ukumbusho na tuwe wenye kufanyia kazi haya maamrisho yanayotoka kwa Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala na kadhalika.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Mali Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it KBC Lunchtime News. Moving on, smugglers operating in Busia County have been put on notice that their days are numbered. Teso South Deputy County Commissioner John Kichwen cautioned the smugglers operating in the Busia borderline, saying they will uphold the rule of law. Speaking in Olepito, Kichwen noted that the security operators in the county undertaking investigations and the perpetrators will be brought to book. Locals have been urged to collaborate with security personnel in providing leads that will help in weeding out the smugglers.
Wale watu wanahusika na uhalifu ya makendo ya kuchukua vitu katika mipaka yetu, ya kwamba tushapata majina yenu, tunawajua nyinyi nani, na kwamba hivi karibuni siku 40 itafikia kwenu.
When you give us information, it is between me and you. Nobody can leak that information.
To the corridors of justice now, where the burial dispute involving the late James Mburu, father to Kiambu County Deputy Governor Rosemary Njeri Kirika, remains unresolved as family members continue to battle over his final resting place. In court today, the fourth witness, Peter Chomba, testified about a picture showing Mburu's burial wishes and highlighted discrepancies in the burial discussions. More details in the Scales of Justice segment.
Iko pale ya nyumba ya Anjiro. Iliweko katika huo mkutano baada ya kusoma huo uamuzi.
The burial dispute over the late James Mburu continued in court today, with Peter Chomba testifying as the fourth witness. Chomba stated that not all family members were aware of the burial plans.
Hao familia mkawatoa. Familia tuliwatoa ndio. Sawa, ndio nimesema mliwatoa. Tuliwaambia waende. Si makosa. Ndio. Waliambiwa pole pole, tafadhali mama na baba ndo. Kweli? Mkabaki watu wangapi? Mkabaki watu 13. Watu 10 watatu. Na kati ya watu 13 kuna mtoto wa marehemu hapo? Yeyote? Hakuna. Kuna bibi ya marehemu hapo? Hakuna. Thank you.
Some family members had been informed earlier, while Magdalene's children were left out. He also noted that meetings held to discuss the burial lacked official records, and decisions were made primarily by the clan without input from Mburu's immediate family.
Kuna mahali ambapo umeweza kutuandikia ya kwamba huu mkutano ulifanyika tarehe 4 mwezi wa Disemba 2024. Naweza chukua uangalie. Haijaandikwa kwa hii, haijaandikwa.
The court heard that a meeting held on December 4th, 2024 had already determined the burial site before the picture surfaced. Chomba testified that if the deceased had burial wishes, they should be respected.
Pali mzee alisema atazikwa.
However, in the absence of such wishes, the clan's decision will stand.
Kulingana na ukoo huu, watu wenu wanazikwa vipi?
Watu wetu wanazikwa kila mtu kwa boma yake.
Kila mtu anazikwa kwa boma yake.
Ama mahali angependa.
Presiding Magistrate Gerald Kitonga directed that the remaining witnesses testify on May 15th and May 19th, 2025, as the case nears a resolution.
And on a tragic note, 2 children have died after being bitten by a snake in Kakamega County. The 2 minors aged 5 and 11 years met their untimely death while swimming in the lake basin in Lugari constituency. Timothy Kipnuso, the story is making headlines from other counties.
A somber mood has engulfed Manyonyi village Lugari constituency, Kakamega County, following the death of 2 children aged 5 and 11 years after a snake bite. Confirming the incident, Manyonyi Assistant Chief Jairus Simidi say the 2 met their death while swimming in the lake basin.
Nikaingiza mkono ndani ya maji, nikataka kuatoa nyoka, inanitishia na nikashtuka, nikatoka mbio.
Ni kuwahimiza tu wakaazi wa eneo hili watangazie watoto wao na kuwaelekeza kwamba wasichezee hiyo damu kwa sababu damu hiyo imekuwa hatari.
Still in Kakamega, County Police officers have intercepted a lorry carrying loads of counterfeit seed and arrested 3 suspects in connection with the syndicate.
Driver wa hii lori anatusaidia tupate mwenye hii biashara ni nani. Ako pale na sisi kutusaidia. Ningeomba tu ya kwamba tupate habari zaidi kutoka kwenu wananchi, ndio tusaidiane tumalize kazi kama hii.
Elsewhere, Coast Regional Police commanders assured residents, business owners and tourists in Diani that their safety is guaranteed days after tension was rife in the tourist municipality.
Sioni sababu yoyote watu walikuwa ni wasarenda na hapa wakuwe na kichwa na nini. Kwa hivyo tutashughulikia hawa vilivyo and we are going to deal with them according to law. I want to assure the public.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Ports Authority KPA has conducted a food donation drive valued at 4.65 million shillings to 19 organizations in the coastal region to help and support vulnerable Muslim communities ahead of the Eid al-Fitr celebrations.
Tuangalieni walemavu, tuangalieni wajane, tuangalieni watoto, tujaribu kuwasaidia kwa kila juhudi.
In the meantime, the Kenya National Union of Teachers and Kenya Primary Schools Head Teachers Association want the Ministry of Education probed over NEMI's portal interference allegations.
Tumekuwa na changamoto kwa sababu we feed the right enrollment ya shule, inakaa 24 hours, unakuta imekuwa refuted, unakuta 50% ama 60% wametolewa.
Youth for Youth, NYC election.
Finally, a section of youth from across the 47 counties have protested the list of 16 individuals going around on social media, claiming to be the interim committee of the Youth Council in the country.
Mimi nataka niulize kwa heshima ya kwamba wizara ya vijana katika taifa la Kenya iweze kutupilia mbali yale majina ambayo yametapakaa mitandaoni, ambapo vijana ambao ni wakora katika mji huu wa Nairobi hawataki kufuata njia inayostahili ili kura ziweze kupigwa. Wanaanza kuchora majina yao eti wao ndio National Youth Council.
The group says they are already prepared for grassroots elections as earlier planned by the former CS Youth Affairs.
Tumefurahia sana kwa sababu NYC wamesema takonezi elections na hawa watu wanaleta hizi vitu sijui za interim za nini. Hapana, mjipange mkuje tupatane pale kwa kinyang'anyiro.
This even as they call on the current Youth Affairs Cabinet Secretary to set aside funds to organize election to choose grassroots leaders in the council.
Kwa hivyo sisi tuko tayari, asubuhi na mapema tunaomba ministry iweze kuweka hiyo election as soon as possible.
Time to make sense of business. On this interactive segment, we are looking at climate resilience and water security. The showers of blessings are here with us. I'm talking about the rains and climate resilience and water security right now is the best time for that, and especially when you talk about water collection. And joining me in studio very quickly is Engineer Benjamin Ochele, who is the Coordination Manager at Water Experts at Davis and Shatleaf. Karibu sana, Bwana Benjamin.
Thank you so much, Bwana Njue.
Very quickly, how has climate change affected water security in the country, and what viable options are there to ensure that we prudent harnessing of the little water that we have?
Great. To highlight, climate change has had devastating effects on water availability in Kenya. And you can attest to the fact that we've had prolonged droughts between 2022 and 2023. We had extreme droughts. Then immediately after that, we got serious rains, that were said to be close to El Nino level. And we experienced a season of extreme flooding. Now, during the drought period, we had a lot of effects on drought, especially on the arid and semi-arid areas, where we had water reservoirs drying up, water wells drying up, and people losing livestock, in that sense. And we also experienced some bit of migration, where people, left the setup of their social community environment and went to congest resources where they could get aid or where there were still active water supply sources. So this has been quite extreme, especially for communities, affecting even their socio-economic setup in terms of, kids being unable to go to school, there's no food, drying up of various pasture available for our livestock. Yes.
And how much innovation is going into coming up with climate-smart technologies when it comes to water management? I'm talking about this because I've seen companies like Elgon Kenya, they make dam liners, and many farmers have just realized that not only can we do fishing with this, they can be used as a water reservoir.
I agree with you. The future of water conservation in Kenya is vested in technology. And when we talk about technology, we are looking at not only the aspect of having smart equipment in terms of running the boreholes and the water extraction equipment that you have or sources. We're also talking about smart agriculture. And what you just mentioned, smart agriculture involves use of the modern technology in agricultural practices and using smart ways of irrigation, where we're running away from the flooding system, where people, you just flood your farm and waste water, but we're adopting systems like drip systems, and this can only come from water that is stored. You first of all store it, you manage the wastage, and then you consume it with time in a measured way. We're also talking about things to do with drought-resilient crops that we should have. And lastly, in the technology end, we are talking about monitoring the storage, the equipment that we have, so that we can predict their failures. Like we have several companies today that have remote monitoring equipment, where we can predict the expected failure on equipment. And you can easily monitor the performance to a point where the efficiency goes down, you make decisions around having them serviced.
And I want to put this into context because for our viewers, the hottest year on record was last year, 2024.
Yes.
And the last 10 hottest years have been the last 10 years. Let's just show you how deep we are into arid and semi-arid. Let's talk about arid and semi-arid. Those regions, they get the worst when it comes to water shortages and water mitigations. What are the long-term solutions for these people, and especially when it comes to companies like yours?
Great. I want to give credit to the government, both levels. That's the national government, because as Davis and Shatleaf, as you've mentioned, we've participated in some of the water equipment reviving or boreholes reviving exercises through the National Steering Committee and Disaster Response, where we managed to rehabilitate 101 boreholes across the country. And most of them were in the arid areas. Now, in these regions, we've had county governments install boreholes, but now the challenge that comes in is the O&M aspect of this infrastructure. People are adopting green energy today, but now even the levels of governments, as I've mentioned, we give them credit, there is little resources that is put towards O&M aspect of these resources. Now, private companies like Davis and Shatcliffe have come up, and we have very active partners even now. We've come up with what we call Improving Lives initiatives, where it's a CSR setup. In the past, I would say like 4 years, we've done over 700 projects across the country and across our counties. And this has impacted, just numbers above 1.5 million, Kenyans, those who are in need of water, and most of our projects are in the arid and semi-arid areas. Yes.
And let's look at urbanization.
Sure.
And let's be honest, urbanization is putting more pressure on the meager water resources that we have. And I'll give you a practical example. When I came to Nairobi, after high school in 2001. And for the last 5 years, we've had water rationing. But when I came in the 2001, there was no water rationing.
Sure.
And now we are putting pressure as counties,
Yeah.
How can county governments ensure there's prudent management of water resources?
Sure. Now, just to give you some statistics, if you look at the early 90s in Nairobi, the population within the city was around 1.3 million or thereabout. Now, the latest census, I think we are talking about numbers above 5 million population.
Yeah.
Now, we are told that, within the city alone, with that element of congestion, greater population is in the informal sector that is highly affected by water supply. Now, this also brings strain into our rivers in terms of I would say exploitation. We have the solid waste that goes into the rivers, areas where people can expect to extract some little water to use. And the level of recycling that we have in our country today has not reached the point that is required. We need to do that. Now, lastly, on the boreholes within the city, several years ago, we would have boreholes to a depth of 100 meters, but because of depletion and because of the urbanization, the congestion, the resources that we have, several boreholes in Nairobi today, and there are so many, go to a depth of more than 350 meters, which also require a higher capital investment. Yes. So I believe that our counties should work on preventing urbanization. We should decentralize water supply. We should form committees to manage this water infrastructure so that before they fail, they are repaired, so that we don't have communities moving from one region to another where they can get access to water and these services.
I know population is putting a strain on water management here in the country, but what are other water barriers, water security barriers that we have in the country, and how can we, work around them?
Sure. I believe the government has put in very strong measures in terms of policies. The Water Act today has given the responsibility of water management to various institutions, including the county governments in terms of appointing WSPs, and of course they are regulated. And for us to manage water properly in our societies, we need to focus on adoption of conservation measures, so that we prevent misuse of water across the nation.
It's a good thing you've mentioned good policies, and especially in the water ministry.
Yes.
But what else can the government prioritize in terms of policies? I'm talking about this because of things like transborder and transboundary cooperation, like the Lake Basin.
Yeah, the Lake Basin, yes.
And also I'm talking about integrated water management.
Exactly. What that brings into place is efficient use of water. When you manage the resource effectively and put in measures that protect misuse, it helps. Now, in terms of policies, I would say that Kenya is not deficient of laws that govern water management. The biggest challenge that we have is enforcement. The second challenge that we have is the resources that follow the political will. Because, for example, today the president is running, cleaning of Nairobi River, for argument's sake. Now, there is the extraction aspect of the debris that goes there, but what are we doing to control the continuous deposits that we are getting from this? We are having reports that 80% of the industries in Nairobi do not have proper effluent treatment processes where we can get this water and reuse it. So when it comes to that, with all the statistics available, the enforcement aspect on these policies that are already in place will be big. And just ensuring that institutions, individuals, and even the two levels of government adopt technology today to ensure that water usage is measured, is paid for, and is monitored. Yes.
And what new technologies do we have in the market? I'm talking about this because we've seen in Arab countries, we've seen in the Middle East, we've seen in Israel, where they are using out of this world technologies, even to some lightnings that even make rain fall when it's not supposed to. What technologies do we have in Kenya, and especially for the local mwananchi?
We may not be there yet as a country in terms of the extreme advanced technology where you can create rain, but I believe the little that we have is sufficient for us to ensure that the common mwananchi enjoy these resources.
The issue is the management itself.
The issue is the management. Actually, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago about the coming in of solar energy as a way of extracting water underground. That's a very beautiful technology. And we have cases where even schools, primary school kids, still use hand pumps. That's a technology that we should phase out. And today we have solar solutions, smart pumping systems that are extremely affordable. If you look at the controllers that we used to use in boreholes and water management several years ago, they were very pricey. But today we are talking of values that are quite low. Now, as Davis and Shatcliffe, we also have the BMS system that is being now applied by various institutions. In terms of a building like this, you just manage how you consume your water, how you consume your electricity, and how various resources within the building operate. And lastly, we also have, as I mentioned, we have in the market today systems that can help you monitor performance of your equipment. When you monitor the performance of your equipment, you can easily know when the efficiency goes down. So that we don't have a whole community, an old bowl that is relied on by the community going down because there was dust on solar panels. These are some things that you can easily monitor through this equipment. You can know when the efficiency goes down, and then you adopt repair mechanisms or maintenance mechanisms before they die. Yes.
What solution do we have as a country because of the wastewater that we see a lot of water go down the drain, and especially in the rainy season? Waste water and recycling, and more specifically on desalination.
I agree with you. The community and the population at large has a responsibility, and especially the private sector. In terms of funding, as I mentioned, that the private sector, we have a lot of partnerships that we are coming up with ways in which we can involve the community through demo farms, and also just to help people understand that water is a resource for everyone and it can be used for the benefit of all. Now, as a country, we need to just be alive to the fact that management of water goes beyond just clean water management. As you've mentioned, wastewater is one aspect, source of water that people do not know. If we have this treated properly, it can be used into other, it can be put into other uses like agriculture that can help our country. Yeah.
It's a good thing that you mentioned that the technology that we've seen in the Middle East and in Israel, we are not there yet. But it's a good thing that technology is evolving at a very, very fast pace. And I'm looking at countries like Israel. We've seen our MPs go to benchmark in Israel, in Singapore, and latest in Cape Town. What some of these lessons that we can adopt as a country that will ensure that not only do we conserve water, we collect water, and prudent use of water?
Israel, for example, just to pick your point, the greater geographical landmap of Israel is more or less, I would say, a desert. And I'm aware that in the yesteryears there was some element of partnerships, and they're still there. I know there are exchange programs where Kenya sends some students to go to Israel to study. I have relatives who've gone to study the level of agriculture, how they prudently use their water. We have, as you mentioned, about desalinization of water to help apply that clean water in other aspects of irrigation. I think those are things that we've reached a point where with our education system and our research mechanisms, we can adopt so that we have drought resilient products, crops. We have smart agriculture that is applied elsewhere in other countries. Yes.
A final word, and especially on the future of water conservation and, of course, the challenges that come with it.
Sure. The future of water in Kenya relies on goodwill of both the government and the private
including
sector.
Smart farming.
Including smart farming. And I believe that when the private sector come together through PPP projects, and the NGOs are also doing a very great thing in our market today, in our societies. It involves several stakeholders. We come together, we bring resources together and ensure that we put in measures that can help us extract groundwater prudently, treat it, and help our people consume clean water. Yes.
Many thanks indeed. That is Engineer Benjamin Ochele, who is the Coordination Manager at Water Expert at Davis and Shatleaf. And indeed, in as much as we cannot adopt some of the technologies that we have seen in countries like Israel, Singapore, South Africa, we indeed have a role to play in terms of water management in the country to mitigate climate change. Thank you so much indeed for coming, and thank you for your insight. A very interesting conversation that we're having.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, unfortunately we are out of time, but this is a conversation that we can really open up, and especially now that we have the reins. Thank you indeed so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We continue with our news, where the National Treasury will deploy allow me to take that again. The National Treasury will deploy sustainability-linked bonds and debt swaps to address the growing public debt, which currently stands at 66%. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says Kenya is grappling with mounting debt with approximately close to 700 billion shillings in outstanding euro bonds, while 120 billion shillings are scheduled for repayment this year alone. Under the new debt management strategy, Treasury plans to lower debt GDP ratio to about 55% by the year 2029.
Kenya's growing public debt has become a concern for policymakers, with debt servicing consuming a large portion of government revenues. The pressure to meet international repayment obligations, particularly with the Eurobond nearing maturity, has intensified calls for urgent debt management reforms. As of June 2024, the stock of public debt was 10 trillion shillings, of which domestic debt was 5.4 trillion.
Do we really need to go to IMF, World Bank, to wait for executive decision of Trump? We will not. But what if now we decide we want to be satisfied with what we have? We are stealing zero. All of us as a country, we are not stealing anything. And then we save this 2 billion per day. We will save over 700. In fact, our total deficit will be covered by our own taxes, and we will not borrow any money.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says the government is working on various strategies aimed at restructuring the country's fiscal space without compromising essential public services.
So how then do we solve this problem? The strategy, to me, is very simple. Number one is to consistently demonstrate that you are reducing your budget deficit to GDP ratio over the period to reach the target of at least maximum of 3%.
All eyes shift attention to the National Treasury as the government is seeking to explore new funding instruments to address budget deficit and manage public debt. Reporting for Lunchtime News from Nairobi, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
And further afield, Chinese electric vehicle maker conglomerate BYD has outpaced its American rival Tesla, with annual sales jumping to more than $100 billion. The Shenzhen-based company reported a 29% jump in revenue for 2024, reaching $107 billion, surpassing Tesla's $97.7 billion. The boost comes largely from strong sales of its hybrid models in Asia and Europe. More details in our international business roundup.
In less than 2 decades, the China car maker has become an industry leader in every sector, from batteries, electronics to new energy vehicles, breaking the dominance of foreign brands such as Tesla, Volvo and BMW, and reshaping the new landscape of the global market. Chinese EV maker BYD is challenging Tesla with a new low-cost car. The King L starts with just 119,800 yuan, half the price of Tesla's Model 3 in China. In 2024, BYD sold a record 4.3 million vehicles, including 1.76 million EVs, almost as many as Tesla. The company is growing fast, even as Tesla faces global criticism over Elon Musk's ties to Donald Trump and new Western tariffs on Chinese cars. BYD is also moving ahead with new tech. Its founder just showed off a battery that can charge an EV in 5 minutes, much faster than Tesla's chargers. Finally, European companies investigating heavily in generative AI are under pressure to deliver results by the next year or risk losing investor confidence. AI-related stocks have dipped recently amid recession fears and competition from low-cost Chinese models like DeepSeek. While investors remain optimistic about AI's long-term potential, they are becoming more selective, favoring firms using AI like RELX and SAP over hardware suppliers. Sylvie Gatti reporting for Lunchtime News.
This AP Bomet Football Club has got a shot in the arm after betting company WR Bet pumped over 5.5 million shillings into the club's operations and an additional 270,000 shillings for the team's kits. The sponsorship caters for the remainder of the current football season.
WR Bet has officially partnered with the Administration Police Service Bomet Football Club with the aim to amplify the team's role in uniting communities, nurturing talent and promoting values of discipline and teamwork.
We are proud of the team because the way they are performing, they are now in position 2 and are doing very well because this team has been struggling and they have been lacking finances to make it move forward. But now with this kind of sponsorship, I think the team will now be, the players will be motivated and they will also be playing now well.
Today's partnership means a lot to APS Bomet FC. As everyone is aware, APS Bomet FC has never had a sponsor. We've been just struggling on our own, so it really means a lot. And now we've been working hard and our performance has always been seen without the sponsor.
The sponsorship comes as APS Bomet hunts for a place in the FKF Premier League next season. They currently sit second on the FKF National Super League table with 50 points, just 1 point behind leaders Nairobi United, having both played 24 matches each.
The base of supporters is immense. It's large. We're talking about police officers, we're talking about military, we're talking about legal officers. It's like, from what I've heard, it's more than 30,000 police officers are active now in the whole Republic of Kenya. So it's a huge base of supporters, and of course we can give them this chance to help their team to get to the major leagues.
In terms of the administration, the whole structure is well set. And also the team are really striving for excellence. From the small division to where they are now, it's a very big challenge. Have not been having like sponsors and that, and you understand how the Kenyan football is without sponsorship. It can be really a struggle for you to achieve whatever you want. So as WRBet, we chose to partner and work with the team.
APS Bomet was selected for its exceptional dedication to sportsmanship, grassroots engagement, and alignment with the company's goal of delivering tangible social, cultural, and community benefits. The sponsorship will enhance APS Bomet's training facilities, provide modern kits for players, and expand outreach programs to engage all communities.
And finally, more than 70 golfers are expected to compete in the Chairman's Puta Golf Tournament at the St. Andrews Dumberi Golf Club this weekend. The tournament comes just a week after the same players competed in the Patrons Cup at the same venue.
The Chairman's Puta Golf Tournament has attracted more than 70 players that competed in the 5th edition of the Ndumberi Golf Club Patron Tournament last weekend, and that was aimed at raising funds to complete the stalled clubhouse. The tournament, sponsored by club patron Thomas Kimari, attracted golfers from the Village Golf Club that has produced 4 great golfers, including Michael Karanga, who is the top amateur golfer in Kenya and 5th in Africa, and Elvis Muigwa, who is the best junior amateur in Kenya and East Africa.
Ndumberi Golf Club is housed in a rental place within the shopping center, but out of goodwill of friends, and I would wish to thank the county government of Kiambu for giving us a parcel of land, half an acre of land within the course, where we are now doing a clubhouse. We've already completed the changing rooms, and we have started electing the clubhouse, which we expect to do through Halabis in due course.
Peter Mwai emerged the winner of the Patron Tournament with 45 points, beating Stanford Kanyoni and Timothy Kimari, who were 2nd and 3rd respectively. Olina Njeri was the lady champion. Other winners were Stephen Kiaro, Peter Njino, and Michael Karanga.
Very well, that's where we'll put a cap on KBC Lunchtime News, but allow me to just give you a recap of what was happening, and especially when you talk about the IEBC chairmanship position, the interviews that for the chairman concludes today. So the last person this afternoon, we're expecting Simiyu Wasilwa. Today we had Lilian Wanjiko Manegene and Robert Akumu Asembo. Remember, 11 candidates had been shortlisted for that position, and among them, and already interviewed, Anna Amadi, Charles Nyachae, Joy Mdibo, Abdukadir Ramadan, Edward Katama. We have Jacob Ngwele Muvengei, Erastus Edung Ethekon, Francis Kaikai Kissinger as well. 37 candidates applied for the IEBC chairmanship position, 11 being shortlisted, but we only need 1. 105 candidates, including 32 women, were shortlisted for commissioners' positions. And remember, Kenya has not had a fully constituted IEBC since January 17, 2023. We now hand over to the College of Insurance right here in the capital, Nairobi. Have a good one.
You have been shortlisted for this position. So congratulations and very welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My name is Nelson Makanda. I'm the chair of this panel, and I want to allow my colleagues here to introduce themselves to you before we ask you to introduce yourself to us. Thank you. Linda.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Linda Kiome. I'm the vice chairperson of this panel. Karibu sana.
Bwana Simio. Yes, sir. Habari ya adhuhuri. Habari ni njema, nashukuru. Okay. Naitwa Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa chopo la uteuzi, na karibu tena. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Caroline Kituko, a member of the panel.
Thank you, madam.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Solo, a member of the selection panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Saul.
Good afternoon.
My name is Nicodemus Bore, a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Wakili.
Good afternoon.
Na karibu sana.
Thank you.
My name is Koki Muli Grinyo. I'm a member of the selection panel.
Thank you, tonight.
Good afternoon, Simiyu.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of this selection panel.
Thank
Karibu
you,
sana.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming. We would like you to introduce yourself to us and just a brief profile of yourself and why you think that this profile is suitable for the position of chair of IEBC. And for your information, this discussion is live, and so the public has been invited into it by virtue of our media. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Saul Simiyu Wasilwa.
I was born in Bungoma. Went through primary school at a